Welcome to Siber Esekten Düşenler, falling of a cyber donkey, Shailesh. My dear friend, welcome. Dear guest, a friend, the President of Cortex in Palo Alto Networks. Tonight, we're going to talk about AI and security again. We are here with my dear friends, Feridun Aktas. We will have many questions for you, Shailesh.
Thank you so much, Gökhan, and Feridun, great to meet you as well. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to our conversation. I have never fallen off a donkey before, but as they say, there's always a first time for everything. So let's.
Welcome, Shailesh. It is an honor for us to host you here for this talk.
Thank you. Is mine. Thank you.
You must help us not to fall off a donkey, right? That must be your biggest objective, my friend.
Yes, after I understood the origin of that phrase in Turkish, that is now my new goal: is to make sure all of your listeners who are in the cybersecurity field that we can help them from using Cortex and other solutions from Palo Alto, or otherwise, even if they don't use our solutions. Yes, I'm hoping we can do a small part in preventing you all from falling off that donkey, for sure.
Yeah, you know, AI is a big transformation. It's not only a technological transformation, it's a cultural transformation as we all know it. And like in that saying from Roy Amara, we tend to overestimate the effect of a technology in the short run and underestimate the effect in the long run. So it is going to be a huge change for sure, and it is going to change all our future. It is changing our today. I don't know if you know the novel from your childhood, my friend, Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It was saying, it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. We have it all once again, right? So what do you think? We all talk about the opportunities, we all love it. Even my mom loves ChatGPT, but we know that all of this is coming with its problems because unfortunately hackers, those guys, they started to use it in advance of the good guys and in a better way and leverage AI perfectly today. So what do you think? Let's talk about the risks. We talk so much about the opportunities. We love AI and it is going to be the future. But how are we going to get there safe?
Yeah, that's a very important point, Gökhan. I think as I see it, there are, like with any important technologies, any sort of seminal technologies like the internet, like mobile computing, like cloud computing. AI, I think, is the next generation of that journey. And this is one where I think the damage to companies, the damage to individuals from the negative effects of AI can be more dramatic than anything that we've seen before, simply because unlike other technologies that have operated and that have become part of our lives that we take for granted, the thing about AI is, in its worst case and in its best case, like you said, it was, you quoted Dickens, it was the best of times, the worst of times. Here is a technology that, as much good as it can do, the potential for it to do damage and to hurt civilization is extremely, extremely high. And we are already seeing the early indicators of that. There was a news article recently. It was a case, I believe, in Hong Kong, where a person actually wired a large chunk of money, I think it was $25 million, to a place that he wasn't supposed to wire it to, because he was on a Zoom call where everybody else on the call was a deep fake. That it was a deep faked Zoom call where other people that this person needed approval from were on the call and convinced him that he was doing the right thing, and ended up, sending money places where it shouldn't have been. So that's just one example. There have been, I think there are, elections coming up in many countries. There's a fear of deep fakes everywhere. And those are just the beginning. So we are entering an era, and you mentioned Amara's law. I'm also seen that come to fruition in a lot of places. I certainly believe that we are seeing the overestimation of everything it can do, but we're definitely underestimating what it can do in the long run. And I think that there are, with AI, there's three or four unique characteristics when it comes to what the bad guys can use it for. They can suddenly now use it at a scale that has never been seen before. They can use it with a speed that has never been seen before. And they can use it to create brand new attacks without requiring the same level of skill that they needed before. And those three combined, I think, create a very dangerous, potentially dangerous situation that all of us have to be very, very, very careful about. For sure.
Yeah, lowering the barrier to be a criminal, a cyber criminal, right, with AI.
And while AI is helping lower the barrier to be a criminal, as you rightly said, the lucrative nature of hacking and ransomware has made it extremely attractive to a lot of people whose mind may not be in the right place, if you will. There were examples recently of Wall Street Journal just did a big story on the hack at MGM, the casino company in Vegas that you might have read about, your listeners might have read about. And from whatever is known publicly, from what has been pieced together, over a matter of a few days, a small group of threat actors ended up getting paid on the order of tens of millions of dollars for doing something that, they seem to have been able to pull off fairly easily. And this is not a company that, again, has been, I'm sure they've been working very hard at doing what they've been doing, but the brazen attack in this one using social engineering shows that it's also a very lucrative business for people who want to go into that space. So it's easy to get in. The barriers to entry are being lowered thanks to AI, and the rewards from entering that market, if you will, can be very high. So it's a lethal combination, definitely. And all of us have to be on the defensive. And, we have to be on the offensive, but we also have to be worried about what it might do for us.
So what do you think? I mean, bad guys started using AI before us. And I know what you said. I love it. They don't have their performance reviews and they have a bigger budget. What do you think, my friend? I mean, there is the good side of the story, bad side of the story.
Yes.
Where do you see the innovations going in that respect?
So I'm not sure, Gökhan, and I don't have the evidence. There might be evidence, I'm just not aware of it, that they have been using this before we have. I think that we're in this constant battle, at least as I can tell. We're in this constant battle. One thing is for certain, they are very smart, they're very well funded, and like I think I mentioned in one of our earlier sessions, they don't have to do performance reviews. Mostly their bosses don't really care as much, and many of them don't have a boss, unlike you and I, and we all do, most of us. And here's another very important thing, right? They have to be right once. We have to be right all the time. We have to defend against them 24/7 against every device, every application, every user, every transaction, every data store, every bit of data. They just have to get through once, and once they get in, they can stay unnoticed. They can get through a lot of. So there's definitely advantages that they have. So what do we have? What on this side of the battle? Well, we have people who want to do the right thing. One thing that binds us together in this battle is that we're all on the same side of this battle, right? Well, we might be a vendor, we might be a customer, we might be a user, we might compete in the course of business, but when it comes to defending against this evil, we're all on the same page. We're all on the same side. So that's one advantage we have. Second is, we've been innovating for a very, very long time. I can't speak for other companies. I can speak for Palo Alto Networks. We started using AI we started using very sophisticated AI technologies all the way back in 2013. And again, AI and machine learning have come a long way, but we've been constantly pushing the envelope internally in our R&D departments, even in the way we use AI internally within our company now, thanks to all of the advances that we're seeing. So we have to continue to stay ahead of the bad guys and make sure that we're constantly making it harder for them to break into us. You see, they're innovating just like we are. They are using the latest and greatest technologies. And so what can we do, and what we have been doing and what we are focused on at Palo Alto Networks is innovating faster than anybody else, bringing the expertise from every place that we can see it into everything that we do, and just work as hard as possible on staying one step ahead, so that no matter how hard the threat actors try, they have to work a little harder when it comes to getting through our defenses. And like anyone else, the bad guys are also lazy. So if we make our customers safer than anyone else, then eventually the person that comes at their door will find the defenses strong enough that they will go pay attention somewhere else. And eventually, if everybody starts doing that, we will all become stronger and our defenses get better. That's the only
I 100% agree with your one-time saying, and I would add one more to that. With our challenges, human stupidity, right? So we are also defending our customers against that, the enemy within. So, Feridun, you are maybe having it every day, my friend. What do you think?
Yeah. I think you remind us the famous quotation from Albert Einstein: two things is infinite, universe and human stupidity. I am not sure about the first one. Yeah. Especially the one that Shailesh mentioned in the Hong Kong, all the fake video call is just attacking people's perception, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and going through just mind of people, not even technology that they are using. So I think from the defensive perspective, or let's say good guys perspective, we have to use AI, not exactly the same, but with a similar approach. How can we leverage our security barriers? That may consist of different pillars. It may be leveraging the operation centers, security operation centers with the help of AI. It can be used just a day-to-day operation of security modules, platforms, or whatever tools, services we are using, products with the help of AI. Maybe even creating and increasing awareness trainings or analysis of security of the products that we are using by the help of AI. So how do you position AI in the good guys side and good guys field, Shailesh? What will be the effects of AI for security of the good guys?
Sure. So that's a very important question, Feridun. The way we think about it at Palo Alto Networks, the way I think about it as it relates to the Cortex business is, AI is going to be used, like you said, in all parts of the defense chain, because it has become and will become even more an effective tool that the bad guys use to try to breach and get through us, through our defenses. So as I look at where we would use AI, I think of it logically in the following sequence. First is, we have to protect against every known attack. That's the first step, because we already know that there are millions, billions of known attack patterns that have been used, some more successfully than others, some longer than others. But we know already what attacks exist and how they are being leveraged. We have information about them. So the first step would be to protect against every known attack. The second very important thing right after protection is knowing that there can never be 100% guarantees and 100% protection, because like we said, the bad guys are going to keep coming up with more innovative ways. The second most important thing then becomes, how do you detect as fast as possible? Once you've protected against every known attack, the only things left then is to detect the unknown attack that comes at you, unknown until it hits you. And even then it may be unknown, you just know that it's an attack, and so you're going to stop it. That's on the detection side. The third is remediation. After you've detected something, you've got to fix whatever it is that you saw so that it doesn't happen again. That's another opportunity for AI. And I'll talk about how we can use AI in all of that, or at least how we use it here at Palo Alto and what I see other people doing. And then after you've remediated it, and then this fourth step becomes very important. How can we use AI to make sure that we don't have to repeat this if it happened again? What would be really bad is you go through all this work to defend or protect yourself, find a new attack, detect it, and then remediate against it. And then you don't learn enough from it so that the next time something similar happens, you have to go through the whole process all over again. That would be a really ineffective and I would say a very bad thing to do, because you haven't learned anything from the past, and that's not a good thing.
Just to interrupt, those are the ones who fall off the donkeys. Those
are the ones that
proverb.
Okay, yeah.
They have to learn from that incident. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So you're right in that context, 100%. And then once we've done that, the last step would be two things. You mentioned, making sure people are aware from a training perspective what to look for, what to be aware of, and make sure that their behaviors and their, be vigilant, but more importantly, don't click on something randomly. I tell my mom, when my parents get a phone call and it's from a number they don't recognize, I just tell them, don't pick it up. Because if somebody wants to reach you and they can't, and you don't pick up the phone, have them text you, because they already have your cell number. They just called you. Let's have them text you. So there are some behavioral things that we can do. But I think those are again, together with all the other things that I talked about: protection, detection, remediation, learning, and training, not just the human, but the system, so that next time it learns and you don't have to repeat those steps. And then finally, training of humans and behavioral, updates that are very important. So those are the five.
I'm a big believer of automation, Shailesh, because, I agree with this saying that security incidents, those hacks, have roller coaster effect. Everyone is so scared during it, but when you finish it, it is kind of a relief, and everybody forgets too quick. So the automation should make sure that, we don't fall off a donkey another time.
Yes. And one of the things, for example, in Cortex, our latest product is called XIM, it stands for Security Information Extended Security Information Analytics Management. We worked on it for about 3 years, and we looked at all the existing technologies. We looked at every SIM vendor that was out there. We had our own SIM, and it simply wasn't able to keep up with the volume, the scale, the pace, and the nature of the attacks that we were not just seeing, but we were anticipating based on our research team's insights and predictions based on what attacks we've already seen. And many of them are funded by nation states, which means, unlimited budget, pretty much, go work on it until it becomes successful. And what we needed to do was we needed to build a system from the ground up using machine learning and AI, where we now have the ability to analyze petabyte-sized data sets at scale in near real time, and be able to analyze that data set from you, from us, from all our customers, and stitch together that information so that we can instantly protect everybody whose data is being analyzed in the system, so that we all become stronger at the same time. And today, for example, we have many, many customers in production, including Palo Alto Networks. We've gone, I talked about the protection side. Every day, with the solutions that we have at Palo Alto Networks, we are able to detect 1.5 million attacks every day that did not exist the day before. Brand new attacks, 1.5 million every day that we are able to detect and stop every day for all our customers. And we do that using AI in our next-gen firewalls. We do that using AI in Cortex, in our Prisma Cloud solution. So we use AI everywhere, and we can get into how, if that's of interest. But this stuff, and you know, one of the things I want to cover is a lot of people say, oh, this whole AI thing is just a fad, it's not real. I would caution against believing that, because it only makes your own level of understanding weaker. There's a lot of amazing things that people are doing with AI. Cybersecurity vendors are doing with AI. I can speak for Palo Alto Networks. We're doing some amazing stuff with AI, because this isn't something that, like you said, just came out in November of 22 with OpenAI and ChatGPT. We've been working on it for many years. But yeah, we're very excited about all the opportunities, and we also recognize that it's a relentless effort. Every day we have to keep going back and working harder than we worked yesterday, and that's just the nature of this.
So I see that you are a big believer of AI for good, and without it, this wouldn't happen, and it's a very important enabler against bad. I mean, defending against bad guys, huh?
When it comes specifically to cybersecurity, Gokhan, I don't see how a company can actually defend itself in the future against what we know is coming without using AI and machine learning natively embedded into everything that they do. And that is a tall order for a lot of companies. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of clutter that they have to get through, and hopefully one of our jobs, we take our job very seriously, of not just creating solutions, but also educating the market on what's available. And yes, I think that this future is definitely already here when it comes to the demand for AI and the need for using AI to combat cybersecurity. On the outside of cybersecurity, I think AI is going to be a mixed bag of results for some time. As much as there's going to be huge impact on the positive side, I think that there's going to be some impacts on social, on our lives, on the social fabric of many countries that I think we need to start thinking about. For example, recently there was a company that created a coding bot, an AI-generated bot that writes computer code, which, by the way, we've been seeing for many years now, and it's not the first time. And in the last 2 years, there have been many. Why this one was special was that it not only just generates computer code, it actually passed a computer coding test by interacting with a human on the other side who was giving the test. And it passed with about 70% marks. That's incredible. Now, that's very positive, but I think we have to, as concerned citizens and as good people, we have to think about what that means for a lot of people who spend their life writing software.
Sure.
We can't just dismiss and say, oh yeah, yeah. So I think as concerned citizens, as good human beings, there is an aspect of what it will do to our lives that we have to talk about. Maybe not on this session, another time if it's of interest. But I just want people to, I want listeners to know that there are two sides to this and we can't ignore one. When it comes to cyber, AI, without it, no chance. Outside of cyber, I think we have to think carefully about what it means.
Tale of two cities.
Yeah. May I ask a question for another aspect in cybersecurity field? As you all we know, and as I understand from your words, Shailesh, the AI and machine learning is the core for that four-level protect, detect, remediate, and learning phase. So the fuel for this technology is the data.
That's right.
So my question is, how do you elaborate? Can you elaborate a bit on data of a company, data of a sector, data of a country, or data globally? So you are a very great vendor in cybersecurity field, as everybody knows. So you touch each and every cells around the globe. So how do you perceive or elaborate on the subject that more data from, let's say, free data or liberal data all around the globe can be joined together to act better? Do you see challenges or do you see advantages, very good opportunities that people shouldn't miss? How do you elaborate data part of that AI for security era, let's say?
Sure. So I think there are three areas in which that data collaboration can work, but we have to be careful because there is obviously your data is your data. There's privacy issues. There's we can't ignore. We certainly cannot ignore privacy in our demand for security. So at a minimum, let's say as an entity, as a company, your data is always your data. We never get access to your data. We put it in a private tenant on the cloud, but then we apply our algorithms and machine learning algorithms to understand patterns in that data to see if they compare against any attack patterns that we have seen. So at one level, at its basic level, the more data that can be analyzed to look for patterns that relate to attacks, the better it is. So the more data that can be analyzed, the better. The second, now let's cross the boundary from one company to the next. Obviously, there's going to be no sharing of data unless the two companies want to, but that's not a business we're in. That's for you and your partner company to decide. For us as a cybersecurity vendor, we look at if we understand something about an attack from the data in your company, we take the learning from that attack and now apply that learning to another company's data. No data shares, no data exchanges hands, obviously, but the lessons of attack patterns and attack vectors that we see from one set of data, there might have been an attack, a persistent attack or some new technique for data exfiltration or whatever it is that we saw in one company's instance. We learn from it and they say, oh, this is how bad guys are using this particular element or this particular API. Then we go to the next company, and that's what our system does at scale. And we say, now we can look for this new pattern in a data set that we've not seen before. And that's how we create the network effects that make each company stronger, because we learn from one and use it to strengthen the other. And it goes both ways. So that's the second one. That's the second way in which this data collaboration is happening without actually compromising on anyone's privacy. The third is just sharing of information that we take we take this responsibility very heavily, where every time we see something, we think it's important to share it, not just with companies that we work with, but also with the world at large. So we publish a lot of research on our Unit 42 blog, for example. Unit 42 is our research department that does proactive services, that does breach response, etc. And Unit 42, if you go to their blog, they do a lot of detailed analysis of attacks that we see that we think will help other people either prevent an attack or react to something that might already have happened. So I see this on three levels. At an individual company, making sure that we analyze everything we can to see what's possible, to see what's anything bad that's there. Second, learning what we get from one company and help use network effects to make every company secure. And last is taking everything we find and sharing it with the world at large. That could be governments, that could be public sector entities, that could be everybody. And for that, there are no boundaries. That's why we publish it online and it's available publicly, and you can reach out to us. And that's also what most of the threat intelligence companies do. So
coming to that data piece, Shailesh, we are in a transition period, as we call it. AI is getting better and better every day. But today, when they are 80% accurate, we say, oh man, we did a great job. It is 80% now. So, and sometimes we can put the distinction in between that data. Is it because of AI poisoning, model problems? Was it being hacked, or is it because, only some mistakes operationally within AI, that training data, is it hallucinated? That hallucination piece is a big problem because AI is making stuff up, right? So are there risks that organizations need to be aware of in employing AI tools in SOC? It is our war room, it is important, and that data has to be accurate, right?
Yes, 100%. You hit a very important point, Gökhan. So we make the distinction at Palo Alto Networks, and I haven't seen other companies do this. I think it's important to make that distinction. when we talk about AI today, in general, we mean generative AI. We mean things like ChatGPT. We mean things like large language models that take all the information that's available across the World Wide Web and search through that information, apply a bunch of different machine learning models, apply a bunch of AI techniques to try to predict the next word, try to make up content, etc. It's mostly generative. And that's great. Generative AI, you can use it for all the things that we see people using it for. But like you said, there are hallucinations. It's not perfect. And in a lot of cases, for generative AI to hallucinate, in many cases, it's okay. It's not ideal, but if it happens, the damage may not be that bad. If I have to write a term paper and I use ChatGPT to write a term paper and it makes a mistake about, who's the first president of the United States, I can go correct it. But when it comes to cybersecurity, if I'm using AI, and we call this precision AI as opposed to generative AI. In precision AI, as the term indicates, we have to be very precise. We cannot be hallucinating and telling you that this piece of, this URL contains a piece of malware. So Gokhan as CISO or Feridun as CISO, please go shut down all your firewalls because we just found this really bad piece of data. And if we are wrong, as I like to say, you can get away with anything on your last day of work, right? So we don't want to do that. It's very important that precision AI is separated from generative AI, and precision AI requires a lot of precision, requires different technologies, requires different techniques. For example, within XIM, we spend a lot of human capital. We spend a lot of researchers' time. These are people who've been doing cybersecurity, AI, machine learning. So they have the domain expertise and they have the technology expertise for many, many years. We have them personally and constantly supervising the models so that they don't drift. One of the things with machine learning is that, models can drift over time. For generative AI, maybe model drift is okay to some extent. For precision AI, as we see it, model drift is a bad idea. We supervise all the models. It's extremely important to have highly supervised or semi-supervised models. Those are the steps that we take, and we think they're very important. And so customers looking at vendors in cybersecurity should be asking these questions. They should be asking, like you said, what if your AI hallucinates? And then the vendor should be able to explain to them why their AI doesn't and why their models are robust and what are the steps taken to make them robust. Otherwise, yes, you're right. It's not the same as writing a term paper.
You say that AI is a big enabler. We all accept it. And on one side, we talked about also the human side of the story. Are we really talking about AI replacing all SOC analysts and no human AI SOC or an autonomous SOC? Where is this story going, Shailesh?
Two things, right? As a consumer, as a citizen, I can talk about what I think about AI as it affects the nature of work outside of cybersecurity, and we can come to that if needed. As it relates to cybersecurity, as a professional in cybersecurity, here's what I can tell you. I have never seen in the last year and a half that we've been doing this actively. I've visited over 400 companies in the last 8 months. I've been on the road almost nonstop all over the world, talking about Cortex, talking about AI, talking about what Palo Alto Networks does. I have yet to see anyone that has actually lost or changed reduced the number of people in their SOC. AI has not replaced, at least so far, I've not seen any evidence that it has replaced people in the SOC. Here's what it has done. It has changed what people do in the SOC, and it has made it dramatically better. In the past, SOC analysts were spending most of their time in a reactive mode, using a SIM, using an EDR tool that did not collect as much data. Therefore, the underlying SIM did not have the intelligence. And therefore, the humans were writing correlation rules to identify patterns after they had happened. Now let's think about it. There's a fundamental problem with this approach. I can only write rules for things I know. I can't write a rule in a database to look for something I don't know exists. That's the fundamental issue. In cybersecurity, every day, new attacks are being discovered. Like I said, 1.5 million new attacks. How are you going to write rules for them? So the humans in the SOC are spending all their time doing alert triage, suffering from alert fatigue, and the attrition rates are through the roof. In every country I've seen, I've talked to customers in most of the countries, attrition, there's same problems everywhere. People are tired. What do you call a happy SOC analyst, a fictional character? Or Feridun, as you said earlier, retired, which I even like more than a fictional character. This is the problem before using, true AI solutions. Now, for example, with XIM, what we are seeing is people are gaining back 60-70% of the time in their SOC. And you know what they're doing? They are the ones generating deep fakes. I know of one company that used XIM and got so much time back in their SOC because the system is automating the detection, the remediation, and the orchestration of the response, that the SOC team got enough time back to go ahead and create a deep fake of their own company's CEO and tried to fool their own company's CFO, just like the Hong Kong case, this was months before, into doing something that they shouldn't have done. And now, luckily, the CFO didn't fall for it. And now the team then went and trained everybody to make sure they identify deepfakes. And here's the example. Here's a perfect situation. What would you rather have your SOC team do? Would you rather have them do the deepfake, or would you rather risk it with some bad guy doing it? I'd much rather have the SOC team use the extra time they get from solutions like XIM to go ahead and do these sorts of things. And that's what's happening. The nature of what people in the SOC are doing changes dramatically when you use these newer solutions. They don't go away. You can't do this without human intelligence. You're just you're removing the human from the center of the process where they were a bottleneck to the end of the process where they either become the expert or they become the person that trains the model so that it can become stronger. In other words, you remove them from becoming detectors and you make them defenders, which is what we hired all these people to do in the first place. We didn't hire them to be doing alert triage. We hired them to be experts, and this technology can allow them to be experts. That's how I see it happening in the security world. Outside security, I think there are areas where I just read in the US, a company is releasing an AI-based nurse assistant, a nurse in a hospital, for $9 an hour. For $9 an hour, they have created a nurse that is apparently as good as a human nurse. That's what they claim. I don't know if it's true. I haven't dug into it. But outside of cybersecurity, I think there are real risks that people's nature of work will change dramatically. Inside a SOC, the nature of work will change, but I'm yet to see anyone saying we don't need enough people. Well, because to begin with, we didn't have too many people in the SOC. Every company has suffered from not enough people. So I say that AI is going to not change the number of people you have. It's going to change what those people do every day. And that's for sure. I see that already.
Sorry.
Phil. Yeah, I just want to complete your picture, and excellent picture, Shailesh. Thank you very much from where is security going. So for the near future, or maybe far future, doesn't matter, for things that we should expect in the future generally, do you still see some problematic areas in the security basically? Or what will be the post-AI era? The post-AI, I mean AI is mature enough and settled down in the companies around the globe in enough maturity level So what will be then the challenges of security, do you think, in the future?
I think the biggest challenge. This is a very important question, and I don't know if I certainly haven't spent enough time on this particular question. But if I look at all the things that science and technology have done to human life in the last, if I compare the life that my grandparents lived to the life my parents lived, to the life I live, to the life my children live, right? And there was before, for some time, I was able to see all four generations at the same time and experience what they were going through. And if I apply that parallel, I think just like in the like science and technology and everything else, progress and civilization has done for human life, I would say our lives have gotten better, but at the same time, we just have different set of problems than we had before. We had a different set of problems than our grandparents had. But we are definitely more productive. We're definitely, I think, in a better state. However, we are more aware of what to do and what not to do. Nothing can change whether we actually do it or not, but we are more aware of it. Our grandparents were not aware of A1C and cholesterol and, impact of pollution on asthma. They just lived life. Now you can argue they didn't have all this, but our generation, and more so our kids, are a lot more aware of what these things are. Whether they use it to make their lives better or not, I don't know, but at least that's up to them. So just like that, I think with AI, just as science and technology has helped human evolution over the last many generations, I think there are areas where it will make our lives dramatically easier. When it comes to drug discovery, I think there will be areas where we will just swallow a pill that will just go around the body and collect data and it's already doing it, but I can see the next generation of it already happening. So, most transactions will just become trivially simple using AI. And I think human life will improve. There will also be dramatically new set of challenges that we've never anticipated before. And I think there will be a level of awareness that we've never seen before. What we do with it is going to be up to us. And I think, I am a big student of philosophy, and I read works from, 2,000, 3,000 years ago. And those works still resonate to me today, because what our ancestors discovered all those years ago, just having no technology, sometimes are still going to be relevant today, and I think will be relevant in the future. So I know that's not a very precise or deterministic answer, but I think this is just like any other technology. It's going to have positives, going to have negatives, but more importantly, it'll make us aware of things we never were aware before and give us a chance to become better humans, better professionals, and, maybe make the world a better place. That's my hope, certainly.
But still, I'm going to ask this question, my friend. I mean, do you think in the future AI is going to augment human capabilities or replace human? That Skynet thing is going to be there, and do you think, or that superhuman? This Neuralink, the brain interfaces at the moment. Is it going to be like the superhuman is going to rule the world, like Yuval Harari says? Where do you see the future in that respect?
I think all three of them are very extremely likely. There will be a huge level of progress from AI, just like there has been in the past. I think there will be, one could argue that if you went back 1,000 years and you looked at people from 1,000 years ago, if they came into the world today, I think they will 100%, I believe, think we are all superhumans. They will ascribe to us a level of superhuman capability based on everything we do. Like here we are on a laptop. I'm in California. You're in Turkey. Your listeners are hopefully all over the world. Imagine a soldier from ancient Rome or Plato or Aristotle coming. They would just be like, oh my gosh, these are all superhumans. So yes, I think, it won't take 1,000 years. This is to Amara's law. It won't take us 1,000 years to get there. It'll take us maybe a few decades. People are saying that, artificial general intelligence is maybe a few decades away. And so, yeah, I think there will be, relative to what we see today, the new human, I don't know if it'll happen in our lifetime, but certainly maybe in our kids' lifetime. I think there will definitely be. I'm following the Neuralink guy closely on X. I
We
think
should
that
all.
all the stuff will be just it'll just be commonplace. Just like, I don't know, 40 years ago, did we imagine that we would all be carrying a computer in our pocket that had more power than put man on the moon in 1969? I mean, so yes, in 30 years, yes, we will all be having, I think, AI chips embedded in us, and we wouldn't be thinking. We would just, everything will be taken care of. Hopefully we are happier. I don't know if, I can't say we will be happier. I definitely think that we will be more superhuman-like than we are today, for sure.
Okay.
Our,
I have
our
another.
role is so important for a secure future, for the future of the world.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope that there are, as all this is happening, that enough of us are thinking about, the downside, and that we retain our responsibility to each other and to the world at large. Because
Exactly.
again, I don't imagine the doomsday scenario, because I think there's always been enough goodness in people that has stopped that
Yeah.
from happening, and I will continue to believe in that. But this is like nothing we've seen in the past, in my opinion.
You have the promise, my friend. You're not gonna let us fall off the donkey. That's your promise.
We will do everything we can, Gokhan, to
Yeah.
make sure you stay on the donkey and maybe get to even other forms of transportation that are more efficient.
If you let me ask a final question, then we may finalize. Thank you for your time. You define a very broad picture of AI from security perspective, bad guys perspective. And you said you visited almost 400
Yes.
companies globally. Yeah. So how do you think that businesses, not the security teams or IT teams, not the technical ones, the businesses will be facing challenges in the age of AI? What will be the new coming challenges to the companies? How should they react? And what sort of major changes are or they should expect in the AI age, do you think, Shailesh?
So yes, that's I hear this, and I see them. I see companies going through this, and our company, Palo Alto Networks, internally, we have undertaken a complete transformation of our own company based on everything that we're seeing in AI. Not just using AI to make our products better, but using AI to become better as a company, to become more efficient, to become more aware, to become more responsible, to become faster, to become more operate at scale. So we've taken this head on, and I think from the learnings, I would say from the learnings that are, starting with our CEO and his leadership, and then the leadership team along with him, I think for both companies, many of them, I think, are still trying to figure out what this means. And that's okay, understandable. I think they should spend as much time exploring what the various technologies are. And I think they should be willing to take some chances, some controlled risks, but do take some chances to understand what this is. Otherwise, it's coming at us so fast that I don't think any company wants to be completely blindsided by it. So I see companies trying to figure out what's going on. Some of them, like you would expect in any population, I think are way ahead of the curve. They're taking it head on, and they're just working internally to make their systems better. I'd put Palo Alto in that category. And some, I think, are just saying, this is just a fad. I would not risk being in that boat. I certainly think being aware that this is, if everybody's talking about it, the technology advances are real. That's for sure. I was at a panel where a bunch of people just said, this is just a fad. And I said, no, it's definitely not a fad. It's definitely not a fad. So be aware, start looking at these technologies, put guardrails around how it is being used, but don't say nobody can use any AI technology. That's not going to help either. So I think, like anything else, having the right balance is the best advice I can give at this time. keep everything in balance, go look for these new technologies, but don't go completely crazy and do it without any guardrails. And listen to experts, talk to folks. And that's why I think, podcasts like yours are very important. And again, thank you for what you're doing to spread the message. And, it's just try to get better a little bit more every day. That's what every company has to do outside of cybersecurity, just for AI.
Even my son is trying to make money with Gen AI, my friend at home. So we can't say no to businesses. It is for
right. Good for you.
they will use it
for you to give out to him. So good.
One last question, maybe to you both guys. Let's finish with some advices. In fact, you made some, Shailesh, but some advices to our young friends. So you said AI is not going to replace security people. Even we will need more. But of course, with new skill sets, and we just, in a nutshell, what do you advise to our young security experts, the young friends? How should they transform themselves for this new era in terms of skill sets?
I should say briefly, don't get afraid of AI. Try to be transformed and change. As Darwin says, the one who will survive is the one who will adopt the change. That's for sure. And AI is just a breaking point, not for cybersecurity, not for technicians, not for engineers, not for business. It's a breaking point for all the world, all the human history even. So get adapted at your best.
Perfect. I would say that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Feridun. I would say, Gökhan, that whatever, the bar that we were trying to aspire to, if you're a young professional and you said, I'm going to get here, I'm going to learn this much, I'm going to go to this level, most of that will now be done by AI soon. So the bar just got raised in whatever way, in terms of what you need to do so that you can still be relevant, in terms of how you need to think about the world, because it's no longer, I'm going to do this. Now you have to think about the whole world and maybe, a community beyond just your profession, because AI is going to change how our lives are impacted. And that is, at the end of the day, the story of human growth and productivity and evolution, right? Is that every generation tries to become much better than the one before it. So in some ways, to the younger generation, it's like, this is your opportunity to try to raise the bar, because a lot of what was state of the art will be taken care of by AI. So now you have to raise the bar and make the world a better place. So that's a huge opportunity for all of you. So good luck with that.
Yeah, I have read a book to my son when he was so as a kid, Elastic Brain. I mean, yes, it is growing and growing. It looks like AI is gonna stretch our brains so much. Huh?
Definitely, yes, and change the definition of what it is to have a brain. Even, we'll have a brain on steroids, brain on turbocharged. So it's going to be an exciting world, gentlemen, and
definitely
we're living in interesting times, in the best of times and the worst of times, Gökhan, as you start.
Exactly. Let's enjoy it. Shailesh, I really enjoyed this conversation a lot. Thanks to you. Thanks, Feridun. I mean, I hope we're gonna have you once again, my friend, soon.
Soon, and maybe next time in person in Turkey. Yes, thank you.
Hope to see you here.
Take care very much. Okay.
Thank you very much. It was a very good pleasure for us to chat with you, Shailesh. Hope to see you in person very soon.
Very soon. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Take care, President.